Look where we are today. This is the middle tide zone and the low tide zone. These are the regions of the intertidal area of the rocky seashore where most of the animals live. We have a very high diversity of life here. And in your class we've been learning about invertebrates. So I'm going to talk about the different types of invertebrates we have down here. Does anybody remember one of the types of invertebrates we learned about, or what makes an invertebrate? Yeah. Yes, Jenny. The invertebrate is an animal without a backbone. So, unlike you and me, invertebrates do not have bones. Now, there's 4 groups of invertebrates we've been learning about, or phylums. Does anybody remember any of the groups? Yes, Marlene. Yes, that's right. Echinodermata is one of them. We call it Echinodermata because echinoderms have spiny skin. This is supposed to represent their spiny skin. In fact, that's what the name means. So 3 examples of echinoderms are sea stars, sea urchins, and sea cucumbers. So we might see those. They tend to live in the low tide zone. Another type of animal that we have learned about is a mollusk, or mollusca, which we do to represent its shells. So, but do all mollusks have shells? Does anyone know of an example of a mollusk that does not have a shell? Yes, David, that's correct. A sea hare. And yes, a Navinax, that's also correct. Those are 2 examples of mollusks that do not have shells. There's also another type of mollusk we learned about that doesn't have a shell, but this is the one that people often forget is a mollusk. Does anyone remember? No? An octopus. An octopus is actually a mollusk. It doesn't look much like, you know, a mussel or a clam or a snail. It looks quite a bit different, but it is in fact a mollusk as well. So the other group of invertebrates that we will see today is arthropoda. We do have our little dance, arthropoda. Can everyone do that? Good job. So, do you guys remember what an arthropod is? Many of them have claws, that's right. Do they all have claws? That's right, not all of them have claws. RJ, some, such as the lobster, do not. But many of them do. Hermit crabs are an arthropod. A shore crab's an arthropod, a lobster's an arthropod, and even a barnacle, which doesn't look much like the other ones because it attaches itself to a rock. It too is an arthropod because of its jointed appendages. There is one last group of animals that we're going to learn about today that I didn't mention yet. Does anyone remember what those are? Yes, the ones that sting you. The cnidarians. Examples of these would be our sea anemone. And we actually have 2 species of sea anemone here in San Diego that you might see. There's the larger sea anemone and the smaller one. We also jellies, jellyfish. We call them jellies, not jellyfish, because here at Aquatic Adventures, because fish have bones and jellies don't. And we want to make sure you're clear on that. So, do you think the sea anemones here in San Diego can hurt you? They cannot actually. The sea anemones we have here, our skin is thick enough that they are not able to sting you. So you don't have to worry too much about them, and we can use our science fingers and gently touch most of the animals we'll see today. If you don't know what something is, please ask me, and I'll probably know how to identify it for you and tell you what it is. So does anyone have any questions? Can you take the animals home with you? No, that's a good question. We may not take any of the animals home with you. I know Aquatic Adventures brought an animal to your classroom, but the animals that we brought to your classroom, we had a special permit to collect. And if you took one of the animals home with you, what do you think would happen? That's right, they would probably die. The animals we find here in the tidal zone are specially adapted to live in this area. And if you take them home and take them out of the water, most of them would die. So we don't want to do that. Does anyone have any other questions? Yes, you want to know if the hermit crabs will pinch you? Well, most of the hermit crabs we have here are too small to pinch you. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. You should be able to hold them. However, the larger shore crabs might be able to pinch you. So you want to be a little more careful with them. Any other questions? Will we see an octopus today? Well, I don't know for sure if we'll see one or not. We'll look. We have seen them with some of the past groups that I brought out here, but I can't guarantee you we'll see them today. So if everyone's ready, I want you to all stay by myself and your teacher. We want to stay in a small group, make sure we don't fall into the water, And we're careful because the algae you can see that we're standing on here today is very slippery. So I want you all to be careful about that, but we can, together as a group, go and explore the intertidal zone. This should be a lot of fun, guys.